Hello and good morning to all of you. Myself Sai Wable, Director of Tech Wisdom Forum. I am here to give a brief about us and our various activities. Friends, globally it is proven that the Indian manufacturing sector has a big potential and Indian industry is growing very fast. If we want to get the best of this opportunity, then skill levels of people from the shop floor should be elevated. And this can happen only with the training and awareness. Same is the story with the students of engineering stream. All technically all technically advanced countries like East Asia or Europe or from China, the teaching and learning of the engineering subjects happen in their language. And my friends, this makes a difference. The basic concepts are get clearly understood if they are taught in mother tongue. And exactly, we have identified these needs and have come up with a solution by way of initiatives of Tech Wisdom Forum. Tech Wisdom Forum, this is a Section 8 company formed to share technical knowledge and information to the engineering students and manufacturing fraternity. This forum is providing a technical content in text as well as audiovisual medium in 6 languages, that is English, Marathi, Hindi, Kannada, Gujarati and Tamil. All this content we are bringing on a digital platform by way of a web portal named yantrikividya.com. On this web portal, you will find training videos, expert talks, the write-ups about the technical developments, and also we are supporting to the engineering students to learn basic concepts relevant to their syllabus and their own language. For more details, do visit our web portal www.yantrikividya.com. Friends, today we have come up with a very interesting and informative webinar. I would request to our director, Deepak Devdhar, to introduce the subject and panelists to you. Thank you so much. Sneha, move to Sai Wable. Sneha.
Hello friends, sorry for a little interruption. It is the 1st May and my best wishes to all of you on the International Workers Day as well as Maharashtra Day. International Workers Day means worker is not only blue collar but everybody who works. And this day is celebrated internationally and we are also doing the same by way of making it as a webinar which is going to benefit all the working people. This subject of the webinar were chosen deliberately as industry education and technical learning in mother tongue. As my colleague Sai explained that the importance of learning or teaching in your own language adds a great value to the expertise, to the wisdom and to the abilities to perform. And that's the way how it is going to affect in India, because in the today's morning paper only we must have read that our Prime Minister Mr. Modi had said that all the legal proceedings in the courts should be happening in the regional language. Also the Indian government is pursuing for last 2 years that the engineering education can happen now in 11 regional languages. And that's the way the support and the emphasis is being given in India to learn in your own language. Absolutely, the new educational policy also is in that line. So how it is exactly going to happen to affect the industry to the educational system, that's all what we are going to discuss and understand from the experts we are having on the panel. I will just introduce the experts. Actually, they don't need introduction. They are all famous by their work and contribution to the industry as well as in the functional area. The first panelist I would introduce is Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, who is the Vice Chancellor of Pune University and then is PhD in geology and also has a large stint in environmental sciences also. The second veteran we have He is a MD of Accurate Gauging and Instruments Private Limited, a company who had pioneered high-class, high-tech CMM machines to manufacturing in India. And by way of various machines they are producing and offering to the Indian market the hardcore Indian substitute and also competing in global level. The third panelist what we have is Mr. Vinit Seth, who is MD of Mastercam India Asia Pacific. He is bringing the international technology to support Indian industry to make it global, to make it smart, more efficient. And to coordinate with all these veterans to speak about this subject of industry, education, and technical learning in mother tongue, we have a social media prominent personality and also technocrat, Mr. Rajesh Mandli. He has his own company, Setco India Private Limited, working and delivering the best quality, which is the heart of the machine, that is spindles. He's working on that and also available for guidance, for teaching, for all the new guys who are entering into engineering today. So this is the panel of great eminent veterans what we have today to discuss about this subject. So I will now hand over this forum to Mr. Rajesh Mandli. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, panelists, and good morning, viewers. I welcome you all for this interesting topic and interesting discussions on industry, education, and technical learning in mother tongue. So, in fact, the panelists, in fact, would certainly agree that all of us have grown from the ages where there was no question asked about who is responsible for offering education. It was all well understood that it is the responsibility of educational institutes who is going to offer the either technical or economical or whatever stream is into. That kind of education will be offered by educational institutes. But the evolution has started and now the time has come. Now, as far as the technical learning is concerned, it is certainly imperative that the industry also has to shoulder their responsibility of offering technical education so that the employable youth can be generated to steer whatever industrial growth we are talking about in next. So, in fact, we all have seen, and probably all of us from technical fraternity know that Germany has played a very excellent role. In fact, they have built in a very solid ecosystem. You might have heard of Fraunhofer Institute, who has developed the technical learning along with the industry. And I think that's one of the main reasons why we look up to Germany as one of the very prominent players as far as the engineering is concerned. So I think it's a time for us. In fact, we are as a country, we are already late. In fact, entering into or developing such ecosystem. But it's a time now that the industry and academia should collaborate with each other, and they should come out with the common program in order to develop the employable youth. I would say that there is another element, in fact, of this particular aspect, that there are third angle to this entire ecosystem, and that's the society itself. So I think these all three angles of our ecosystem, that is industry, education, and the society, have to shoulder their responsibilities to develop the employable youth. And unless these three come together and develop such kind of ecosystem, I think it is very difficult to whatever we are talking about becoming superpower and all as far as the engineering development is concerned. And the last point is offering this technical education in mother tongue. And ironically, we are all talking in English. In fact, we are not talking in any regional language. So that itself shows the importance of how English as a language is important as far as the business is concerned. But parallelly, I would also like to mention here, and I'm sure, I don't know about Mr. Vinit Seth, but I'm sure about Mr. Vikram Salunke and our esteemed guest, Mr. Dr. Karmalkar, that, and including myself, that we have learned our schooling in our mother tongue. So it is what I'm trying to mention here is that it's not a very difficult aspect that we learn in our mother tongue, and later we develop our skill in English, or which is known as the business language around the world. So with that particular note, I think I would like to just share here that this particular initiative, this particular webinar is promoted by Tech Wisdom, which is founded by Mr. Deepak Devdar and Sai Wable. So on this particular note, and the objective is of course to spread and create awareness of having technical learning in regional languages. So on this particular note, I would like that, sir, I would like to ask you that do you feel the need of technical learning in mother tongue, and what are the strategies and actions taken by universities and government? If you can just throw some light on this particular aspect, it would be great. So that would be nice way to start this particular session. So, Mr. Karmalkar.
Thank you. It's indeed a wonderful sort of initiative, and truly speaking, it needs to be promoted. It has been basically the basis of the new education policy also. The new education policy also speaks about teaching not necessarily only technical education, but all different faculty education has to be in Marathi, whether it is law, whether it is science, whether it is technical. So all those things, to a great extent, it has been underlined that these courses should be taught in the mother tongue. And therefore, it is a wonderful initiative that somewhere I learned that you've been creating videos in 6 different regional languages, especially the technical education part. At the University of Pune, in fact, a couple of things we already started promoting, especially I must speak about the law courses, those to a great extent getting converted into Marathi. That is the regional language of the state of Maharashtra. So, and that is in tune with what is been appearing today in the newspaper, that somewhere the Prime Minister also spoke about that the judiciary system, especially the courts, must actually work in their local languages. So initially we are concentrated more on the law part. Technical education, yes, 2 of the affiliated colleges, because on the campus we run most of the postgraduate courses. In the affiliating system, basically 2 colleges to a great extent are promoting, or rather starting the entire technical education, especially the engineering, in Marathi. And that's basically an initiative that needs to be applauded. And I'm pretty sure it would get replicated at other institutions also.
So can you switch on? Can you put on your video, please, if you don't mind?
My video is on.
No, you are not seen on the screen. In fact,
my video is on. I can see myself. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then continue, please.
I think when his frame is pinned, the video is frozen.
Yeah, probably the focus has not come as she was mentioning about. Anyway.
Okay. Can you, otherwise you can switch off the video and on it again, if it is possible. Just take it away. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
You are seen. Please go ahead.
So, university is basically a very large education system. You all know we have jurisdiction over 3 districts, places, Pune, Nashik, and Nagar. And the technical education, although recently there is a separate technical university been created, but in the initial days, the freedom has been given to those engineering colleges. If they intend to continue their affiliation with the Pune University, they can. And accordingly, there are roughly around 150 odd engineering colleges still been affiliated, rather maintaining their status with the Pune University. And of these 150, two of them have come forward to teach basically the entire of the engineering course in Marathi. On the campus, the law department, especially the LLM program, slowly we are switching over to Marathi. Although it is a wonderful initiative, at the same time, basically, we need support from both the industry as well as organizations like you, because the text component to a great extent needs to get translated, and somewhere obviously this is going to be a little difficult to find with a proper sort of a Marathi word for an English sort of a technical word. So somewhere we would be dependent on people like you or export people like many, and that is how it's going to be a slow process. It just cannot happen overnight as such. And from that point of view, I must in fact applaud the initiative of this particular organization, that they already are talking about 6 regional languages, wherein they are to extent converting basically the technical words into the local languages as well. In fact, in the European system, obviously you know that there are 36 nations, basically the European Union, and of which most of them they teach most of their education in their local languages as well. So somewhere maybe in the colonial period we adopted English as our language, which wasn't our language as such. But the entire of the sort of a media of instruction turned out to be more in English. So we never made any efforts of this kind. But yes, it is a need of the hour, and slowly we are switching over. Is going to be a gigantic task, in fact, to convert an entire of the text material, the textbooks, and the teaching is also, because many times, although in the state of Maharashtra, we need not necessarily get faculty all the way, most of the time from Maharashtra. There are some people coming from the other regional states as such. The recruitment many a times doesn't distinguish between the local and outsiders as such. So we have people like coming from, say, UP, Hindi-speaking states as well as South-speaking states as well. So there is going to be a little difficult, because those teachers need to even understand the local language, need to learn the local language, and accordingly, uh, slowly they will have to switch over from this thing to the medium of, especially in the state of Maharashtra, is going to be Marathi. And that is how it is going to be a little challenging, but yes, it is a need of the time, need of the hour, and we must do it. Thank you.
Very nice. I mean, I could understand the complexity of our nation as such. I think we are the only nation in the entire world having different languages in different regions, and I'm sure that it would be really this particular point, in fact, has not come to my mind when I asked this particular question, that the lots of interstate students are coming to Pune or other part of Maharashtra, and how are they going to cope up about taking up this particular language? And again, not only European, the other point what you said is even the Asian countries also. If you look at the Japan or China, or for that matter Taiwan, they carry out their business communication in their local language itself. So very valid point. We'll be talking on that particular question once again, probably at the end of the session. Now my next question is to Mr. Vinit Seth, that how do you look at the importance of just a minute. Mr. Vinit said, how do you look at the initiatives of making this technical knowledge and information available in mother tongue? I mean, how will it impact the effective use of, because we are into CAM programming and all. So how do you look at the impact of this effective use of these smart applications in industry? Please, your views, please. Mr.
Right, Ji. So welcome everyone, and thanks again for joining the forum today. the initiative of training or making available this technical training in mother tongue or in local languages is indeed a very welcome step. And as rightly put forth in the beginning, I think the industry also needs to step up along with the Ministry of Education and the education institutes, universities across the country to make this happen. See, today, the bottom line in my view is that education or knowledge should not be limited just because it is being taught in a certain language. There are brilliant students who have not studied in English medium schools, and it becomes a challenge for them when they suddenly enter college and everything is in English. And I think that's a big hurdle when it comes to these students making or getting good marks, and therefore that is the step forward in the careers, isn't it? That you get good marks and you get placed well, and or otherwise you become an entrepreneur where it doesn't really matter. But if they want to continue into a structured career, then it becomes an impediment. And by bridging this gap midway, by keeping the keywords of the technological softwares or applications as it is, but imparting the education, the knowledge, the whole process behind that in a local language, will go a long way in uplifting the students' knowledge and making them applicable in the world without compromising on the keywords that exist. Also, we must understand and accept that our Indian strength is that our people are placed all across the globe, and that is because we have the background of knowing and working in English. We can take up projects from overseas clients. Our people can travel to different geographies and work, and this provides us with a lot of versatility as well. So a mix, sort of a marriage of both these aspects of understanding, comprehending, learning in our local language, while continuing to use the keywords that help us work in a software or a engineering environment, would be, in my view, the best option. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree what you said, Mr. Seth. I mean, in fact, probably Mr. Vikram Salunke and even Dr. Karmalkar also might be knowing. I mean, they are all well aware that there was actually one kind of, it was known as the mixed course in schooling. The science and mathematics was taught in English, and the rest of the subjects were taught in native language, that is Marathi. I don't know if still that kind of course is continued. But that's how it was initiated by some of the schools in Maharashtra. And I think even, as I said, I know Mr. Vikram Salunke has been traveling all around the world. I have been moving all around the world. But I'm sure we both probably, as I understand, we must have, at least I have grown up in my mother tongue education. But still, it was never a problem for me, at least, to discuss on different business conferences or business meetings, and talking in English. So I fully agree with you that if there is some kind of combination course of both the languages, it would be a great idea. Now my next question is for Mr. Salunke. So Mr. Salunke, as most of the engineering fraternity know that you are one of the highly precision metrology equipment manufacturer in India, and I would say I feel that you are the only one, and your equipments are exported to different countries all across globe. So how do you look at the importance of mother tongue while giving training about the operations and maintenance of high-end equipment at the user end? I mean, first thing is it possible, and what is the importance of it, and what is the experience across the globe about medium used for technical knowledge sharing? So we have seen, when a European machine comes to India, it used to be in their their native language. So whether are you doing those kind of, so what is the importance of all those things and what are your initiatives on those?
Thank you, Rajeshji. Thank you for having me on this August panel. Like pointed out by my friend Vinith, the challenges in the Indian context are a little bit different. European countries, they are more homogeneous societies. If you look at Germany by itself, right from their primary education to the engineering, everything happens in one language. The same happens in France, the same happens in other countries or in Europe, Spain, for example. Whereas in India, like pointed out by Vinith, one of our advantage is that we were exposed to English language on our shop floors much before. However, as the markets grow, as the we ourselves become a larger market for our products, the need for the technical education in a regional language becomes it can help more participation by the people in the proper use of the equipment, in the productivity of the company. I'll give you an example. For example, we now have machines in southern part of India, and we have always realized that the technicians which are working with our machines, they are more comfortable if the instructions are provided in a language that they can understand. And especially this more at a level of, for example, the maintenance engineer, maybe the CMM operator, but all the softwares are naturally in English language, but certain functionalities that can go in local language. So probably, we need to use, create our own model, which is a hybrid of certain technical words coming from English, and then, correspondingly, certain instructions coming in Marathi or local language, whatever that may be in those areas. As is, for us, the markets are, even in India, when we say, we cannot do it in one language and then, look for that market for our products in other state. So therefore, English becomes a kind of a common platform for some of the functional issues. But nevertheless, what we have seen is that if these people are given certain trainings in their own language, then their ability to understand, to move up very quickly is very useful. And obviously the advances, once they have learned their basics well, then the advances can happen in a language that is provided by the platform. But the basic training, if it is the initiates, this thing, if it is done in the local language, the initialization of that person, then the language does not become a barrier for his participation in the activity. Because what I have personally seen is that, especially people coming from rural areas, their mathematics is good, their understanding, they have studied well, so they can, science subjects they have studied well. So they, if the language is the typical barrier for them to in the initial years, I don't know, Rajesh, you'll agree that in Maharashtra, probably, in rural areas, one of the toughest paper that these students have is their English paper. So they pass all other subjects, but they fail in English, and they can't clear their 10th standard because, and the problem is, it's not just the students' fault, but the professors, their teachers, they have their limitations. So therefore, in technical areas especially, the language should not become a barrier for their initial entry into this thing. And especially when we are focusing in the early times of their career, where hand skills is an important aspect, and if together with that, if those are properly provided in their own languages, for example, safety instructions. This is something that in any factory, understanding of it in a local language becomes an important factor, because who knows what he has understood from a foreign language that has been given to him. So it's very, very important that these kind of things are in a regional language provided at that level. So not necessarily we have to do the entire end-to-end into a local language, but we have to adopt our a unique approach that is required for our conditions to do this kind of combination. Thank you.
Right. So, in fact, probably the remarks by all the panelists is showing the importance of what tech wisdom has taken away. In fact, and probably this movement should start, that the phobia of English should be taken away from the student's mind, and there should be some kind of combination program should come out, that where the English is also into the picture as far as the technical typical some programming and some other part is concerned, but the transformation or the transmission of the knowledge should happen in mother tongue. So that's the outcome, and I'm happy that even the industry veterans like Mr. Salunke and Mr. Seth are agreeing to the point, along with Dr. Karmalkar. Now, my next question is to Dr. Karmalkar. Dr. Karmalkar, I just want to understand that how education department or university is looking at the option of collaborative working with industry person related to generation of technical content in regional languages. So, can you throw some light on this particular aspect? That is there any collaboration happening, or is university department or colleges, are they approaching to the industry, and how industry is also responding to that particular approach? If you can just share your views on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's a very interesting question. First of all, actually, right from the beginning, on paper, we've been talking about there has to be an academia industry interaction, but it has remained more on paper. But during the recent times, there's a slight changeover, because now for the entrepreneurship development, basically various initiatives have come forward, especially the Startup India or Stand Up India schemes of the government of India. And in tune with that, basically at the college level as well as on the campus of the University of Pune, we have created a separate sort of a structure, what is called as a section head company. For example, on the campus of the University of Pune, we are SPPU Research Park Foundation to promote entrepreneurship, to promote basically startup culture. We have created this kind of an ecosystem, and wherein obviously we have to have a handholding with the industry, and that is perhaps a baby step through which, in fact, industry is getting not necessarily connected, but in fact finding a space on the campus. We took an initiative of providing even a co-location for the R&D unit of some of the industries. For example, we are talking about basically the industry 4.0, and wherein the machine learning, the AI, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, cloud computing, all those kind of things. In fact, to make a sort of investment in this infrastructure, it is a gigantic task, and financially also not affordable. So because of which we thought that we provide a space to the industry on the campus, so they come along with the infrastructure on the campus. And that's how we have a Center for Industry 4.0, which to an extent is the initiative of the Ministry of Heavy Industry. and was allocated to the Kirloskar in Pune. And then the entire of basically their infrastructure, we decided to co-locate it on the campus. So that's how many more such industries have shifted their R&D units on the campus. That has provided basically a synergy, or rather a system wherein the industry has come closer to academics. The student works the interns over there. Then most of the project work that happens basically is related to the industry. Because of the co-location of the industry units onto the campus, we have more or less weekly visits and webinars and discussion and deliberation with the company people, like especially Pune is a auto cluster, and we have Mitsubishi, we have both Volkswagen, we have basically Mercedes, Tata's, all their CEOs, they come along with their problem. The discussions happen in the forum where the student also participate as the interns, and then to resolve their issues basically through this company, various different sort of initiatives are undertaken. So we are closely now connected with the industry, but still everything is happening not in the mother tongue. It is happening more in the English language or the usual technical language as such. I feel that rather than switching over to entirely to Marathi, it's going to be more of a hybrid system, that some technical word would remain as technical word. There is no need to get them translated into the local language. They can be used as it is, because otherwise also sometimes it becomes very difficult. We are more used to these English words. So, but hybrid way of teaching, basically, the rest of basically teaching can happen in Marathi, wherein the technical word can be used in English language, and that is how we can, in fact, perhaps the whatever hand holding that we have done with the industry to a great extent can help us.
Am I audible?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, right. Okay, thank you, Dr. Karmalkar, for your elaborate answer on that, and
Has become a key.
And thank you for sharing your views. In fact, we are also observing that there have been lots of MOU we are signing with different colleges for collaborating with us. And in fact, I'm very happy to share with you that there was a couple of professor internship happened in our company. So they were sitting in our premises only, and they spent six months of time to understand the industry atmosphere and all. So I think that the movement is started only. I think as an industry and as an academia representative, we have to expedite this particular process of working together. So with this, my next question goes to Mr. Vinit said that since you are into CAM programming and also the language you are using. So as per you, what is the status across the world, I would say, that using advanced softwares in their own languages, and what are the hurdles that you envisage as far as the Indian perspective is concerned? Because as we know, there have been lots and lots of languages have been spoken all around our country. So how do you look at it? First question is, across globe, is it happening that the country-wise the programming language is changing, and what is the in Indian context, how do you look at it?
Right. So I would begin by saying that, the ability to speak in English is not a measure of somebody's intelligence. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or ability to converse in English is not a measure of somebody's intelligence. With this, I would then take a little aside and then also dwell upon what Mr. Salokya said a little while ago, that a hybrid solution is perhaps the best way forward. Also, let's look at some real situations from across the globe. When we look at Germans, when we look at the French, when we look at the Spanish, when we look at the Russians, Far East, when we look at the Koreans, the Japanese, Taiwanese, the Chinese, a lot of effort has gone into creating content and writing the technical journals and technical softwares in their local languages. And this was done about 2 decades ago, right? So 2.5 decades ago, when the medium of communications were limited. And I remember when I first joined, when I started working, we were still sending our purchase orders through fax. And I'm not talking too far ago. I'm talking of 97, 98, even 99. It was early 2000s when we started scanning and sending across my purchase orders to my head office in the UK. Now, at those times, since communication was even more limited, there was this practice of trying to convert everything into the local language. And also, the local, some of these countries were not, due to either political or regional reasons, were not very conversant with English. But in the last about 10, 15 years, since 2010, if you look at some of the shifts that have started happening, and these are minor, but still significant. When I say minor, they might be small in terms of size, but they're very impactful and significant nonetheless. Now, my area of work includes Middle East, and so if I look at UAE or Saudi Arabia, for example, the medium of knowledge instruction, as what we are talking about here today in terms of Tech Wisdom's initiatives in 6 Indian languages, in Saudi Arabia and in UAE, the medium of instruction, knowledge instruction, is sometimes hybrid. They do Arabic, but they use the softwares or the technical journals are consumed in the native English environment. But what it does is that by explaining these concepts to students and trainees, whether they are from the industry or from the academia, what does tend to happen is that the instructions are understood, or the softwares or their technology is understood much more easily. It is digested more easily by the fraternity of the students or the trainees. And your next part of the question was, do I envisage any hurdles in the Indian context? And I think no, and none at all. We are already very well versant with the ecosystem of education. Dr. Karmalkar is here from the academia side, and he's already spoken very highly about how they are, introducing a lot of hybridization into the academia with respect to this. Mr. Saluke spoke about his experiences down south, and these are very, very valid and visible examples of what we should be doing, and what Tech Wisdom has started to do already. I mean, in the last about 3 or 4 years, a lot of our medium of, as I say, master camps, medium of training instructions have already gone on in about 4 or 5 regional languages across India. And we've received a fabulous, fantastic response from students who come, so I was at the TAGMA exhibition over the last 4 days, and some students came across and they said, yeah, we have seen your instructions or your explanation about the software in our regional language, and they were very thrilled about it, and so was I, because it was very gratifying to hear live firsthand from people who are consuming this content, understanding it and learning from it, digesting it, and then applying it in their working lives. So to answer your question in a very succinct manner, I do not envisage any hurdles. There are people already working into this segment on this platform, and I think this is need of the hour. At the same time, as I mentioned before, it would be great for us to continue to work on the global platforms, allowing our wings to spread our wings and soar higher. So that is where I come from. To answer your question again, I think it's entirely doable. It is being done, and it should be the way forward. Thank you.
Wow. I think I'm first time happy to hear some negative answers. Thanks for that. That you don't envisage any kind of hurdle in Indian context in developing softwares in different languages. So thank you for that. And so my next question is for Mr. Salunke. Mr. Salungi, I think you have started your company, rather, as I understand, your father have started the company in rural area, and as I understand, it's still functioning absolutely well in Saswad, which is about 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers away from Pune, and very, very successful model, running up a very highly accurate, highly precise equipment manufacturing in rural part of India, near Pune. How do you achieve that kind of thing? How did you find that that this working class from rural India? And I have seen that most of the technicians working in your industry are from local area itself. So, what initiatives you have taken to bring in such kind of successful model, and what initiative you are taking, whether in mother tongue, or how are you coping that requirement of English as a language with your staff? So just to share your views, Mr. Sal.
I'm glad you asked this question because actually there is a long history and a long journey behind this situation that we have. So, as you know, the company was founded by my father, and it was founded in the year 1963. And in 1972, there was a big drought in the area of in Maharashtra at several places. And my father was then the chairman of the Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, MIDC, WMDC. And as an industry, they wanted to see what they could do for the helping the people in this rural area. And he, along with some industrial fraternity, went there and started to, decide what could be done at that point in time. There was completely another journey that started in his life thereafter. But having gone there and started working in this area, one of the experiments that he did that time, that time the ITIs were just starting. It was in 72, and I think sir will correct me if I'm wrong. ITIs were just starting at that point in time. So we took about 100 boys from that. There were about thousands of people breaking stones for the employment guarantee scheme under that scheme there. So we took about 100 boys who had passed, 8th standard or 10th standard. And that time our main facility was in Pune. And each of these boys were, assigned to one operator and one machine as an apprentice at that point in time. And, 72 onwards, Tata Motors started in Pune and Bajaj started in Pune. And almost each of these boys got a job just because they had worked in Accurate at that point in time. Because they knew how to measure, how to, handle calipers, micrometers, and English was not a barrier at all. So the point is that hand skills are something that you can, very easily transfer into these areas. And I feel that, we should really identify, what are those in manufacturing domain, which are such kind of things. For example, fabrication, painting. There are many such operations which don't need language should not be a barrier for them to learn and move forward. Maybe sometimes handling with a CNC controller, you might need to learn the language, but the initial journey into the organization can be very easily started with this kind of an experiment. So in fact, continuing with this experiment, my father then said that why can't a farmer also have a part-time job with the industry? And he had seen this model in Japan, where every Japanese operator during the rice plantation, pretty much the way it happens in our Kokon area, the farmer goes to the farm and works in his farm, and then is also working as an operator in a factory. So we created, a model where simple operations like drilling, tapping of our instruments were moved into the village. And we taught them, we gave them a drilling machine, we showed them how to handle the fixtures, and they started their journey into the organization at that point in time. Subsequently, the same boys were given higher skills, and I'm very proud to say now, on the measuring machines, for example, the granite beds that we do, we finished these beds to the level of accuracy which is 1 micron per meter, and this is one of the best world-class skill that we have developed in a place like Saswad. And the parts processed here are going to US and in Germany, and they appreciate that these skills that these companies had before in the past today are, a company in India has taken it forward. So my point is that in the technical education, we have to identify such domain areas and start the journey from there, where the language is not a barrier. Because if you do this across the board, and if you try to do it, then this becomes a gigantic task, and probably it will also compromise certain advantages that we have otherwise. But if you mix it properly, this can be very well done. And we see absolutely no barrier in our area, where, in fact, I prefer to take the students from rural areas, and especially if they have done diploma and then done their graduation, because their skills are far better than any student that who has done in urban area. He may speak very well in the interview, but many times, in fact, we make it a point that while we are taking the interview, we take it in a local language, so that the candidate is comfortable and he is not affected by the barriers of his language to express himself. And it's very important to do it in that fashion. This is exactly where sometimes MNCs go wrong, because when they look for candidate, they must have a proper degree, they must have a proper English, he must have a proper written English, and sometimes it's an advantage, because I can get a good candidate that otherwise is not picked up by an MNC.
Good, great. So really overwhelmed by your answer, Mr. Salunke. I mean, really, we appreciate your, the way you have built your company in Saswad. I usually give your, example to many other industries, many other forums also we talk about accurate. So very nice. So we are in fact ending, nearing to end our session. But before doing that, very quick answers from each panelist. First question to Dr. Karmalkar, that as per you, there have been always debate between industry and academia that, they will have some kind of, I will not call it as a blame game, but kind of shortcomings they will have at each other. So as per you, what role industry should play in order to develop employable youth along with the academia? So I'm asking different question. I'm asking your expectations from the industry. Yeah.
Thank you. But prior expecting industry to support me, actually, I must actually give back something to them also. And that is where the change that is happening. In fact, we used to measure everything, their eligibility with respect to basically a teacher's eligibility. He has to have a doctorate, he has to have publication and all that. But you must have seen in recent time, UGC in fact has come out, University Grant Commission, that there should be different criteria. On the basis of their experience to a great extent, they can be eligible for teaching as well as for guiding basically research students. And that perhaps would make the way very easy. I can always start bringing in industry onto the campus as such. industry generally speaking remained away only because of this particular this reason, that there wasn't any kind of a visibility for the industry into the teaching system or education system as such. So because of the new sort of a reform, it has become very easy now to bring in the industry onto the campus. And expectations is not that we require some money or we require some financial support, but whatever expertise they carry, that expertise they must share with our student. In fact, majority of the problems the society faces, and which to a great extent is being considered as a research problem by the industry, those should be actually conceived through the support of the student. That is what a bare minimum expectation we have from the industry, nothing more than that. But that has started happening. In fact, yesterday only I was with the persistent systems, and it is just not basically their expertise they are providing. In fact, they are also coming forward with financial support. So it is perhaps a good beginning that is happening. So slowly things have started changing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, Mr. Anand Deshpande is a phenomenal person of persistence. He has been not only working for academia but entrepreneurship as well, and he has through the Foundation and all. He has been doing excellent work. So thanks to him and thanks to you as well for acknowledging efforts of industry. My question to now Mr. Salunke and Mr. Seth, one by one. First Mr. Salunke and then Mr. Seth, that are you collaborating anyway with academia, and if so, what are your expectations from academia? Very quick answer so that at the end we can take a couple of questions from the audience. Yeah.
Probably I'll go first. What Dr. Karmarkar just said, the collaboration has already started, and in fact, the C4I4 that he mentioned, I have been one of the founding member of C4I4 Labs. And I must say that it has been Dr. Karmarkar's initiative to bring the industry to the university campus. And we responded very positively. Now we are also in discussion to bring one of our sensor lab into on the university campus. And we are doing this further discussions with them also. And I think, just the way Sir has said that industry needs to come on the campus, I think at the same time, the campus also needs to come onto the industry level. And we need to, open up our doors to make that happen. And I'm currently working in that area where, we can take up some projects. And the way you mentioned that you had some professors coming onto your shop floor, because at the end of the day, if they understand our current practices well, that's the only way it can bring it to the students in a more effective manner. So I think we need to take this forward in a together way.
Right. Okay. Mr. Seth, your viewpoint?
Right. So I'm glad you asked this, because I'm very passionate about this, and we are working very closely with a couple of initiatives which I would like to develop on, and they are very interesting and very relevant. So we are currently working with two state governments, the state government of Karnataka, which we signed up first, and then we have signed up with the government of Bihar, that is yet to be implemented. But the implementation at Karnataka has happened. So we are upgrading 150 ITIs, 150 ITIs in the state of Karnataka, and we are doing it with the House of Tatas, actually, Tata Technologies. But what we are doing is we are upgrading the skills of this ITI students who are traditionally in the roles of a fitter, a plumber, electrician, a mechanic, and we are giving them this entire new spectrum of modern day technologies that are available to them, including CNC machines, the state-of-the-art softwares from Mastercam, from some other people in the CAD industry. We're exposing them to robots and robotic programming for different aspects, different applications. And what's happening is that these people become employable. They are industry ready from day one, right? Now, if you go to the industry as a whole, if you go to Bhosri or Chakan industrial areas, you would find a lot of these machine tool operators who are actually ITI graduates. But they are employed and then trained on the job for 6 to 8 months before they actually become, they can work on the machines. while what we are doing is we have brought the industry to the academy, right? So by this initiative, a whole industry is operating within an ITI. And we are currently talking to a few other state governments as well. I hope, and I'm expecting this to be a national movement going forward, where students from and ITIs, if you see, and Mr. Saloke, you dwelt upon the ITI experience of yours, which was brilliant to hear. But when you look at the ITIs, they exist in urban areas and they exist in deep rural areas as well.
Deep.
Completely inaccessible areas, but the setup that we are providing to each of these ITIs is the same. And the modern communication tools have allowed us to do the trainer program in these remote locations as well. So everybody is concurrent, and I think that is what we are doing. So we've taken a couple of steps to bring forth the academy and the industry together, and we hope to see this. It's no longer an experiment, but this is a process that we hope will gather more momentum and go forward even more stronger than what it is doing today. Thank you very much.
Great. Absolutely fantastic initiatives, Mr. Seth. I congratulate you for taking up such a wonderful initiative. That's the need of an hour, in fact. And so before I just, get to concluding part of it, there are few questions on the FB Live session. So just quick question. Now this is again for the industry people, that if the question is, if one studies in mother tongue, can he get employment in other states within India? So I would request Mr. Seth to answer this particular question.
So the answer would be both and a yes and a no in certain respects. See, the beauty about India as a whole, and in microcosms in the different states that we coexist within, the organic demand itself is so high that if a student is studying in Maharashtra, I don't think that they would need to relocate elsewhere just because there is dearth of opportunities here. There's tremendous opportunities in every state, and the states that are generally that supply a lot of labor to the rest of the country, they are generally a neutral Hindi speaking state. So when you look at the industrialized states, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala to a large extent now, the need of organic labor, the labor from within the state itself, is enough for the consumption within that state. As a whole, if I look at India, I think the Indian ecosystem has enough play to allow for the students coming out to be absorbed and consumed within the system. We are in a way a very self-sufficient economy, and I say this not just from the point of view of education or engineering applications. Even if you look at the couple of within the last 2 decades, there have been some world affecting financial events that have affected a lot of the Western world, and one of the big reasons why India was insulated from that, to a large extent, I won't say completely insulated, but to a large extent, was because we are a self-sufficient economy. The cars that we produce are primarily sold in India. The production, the agriculture production that we have is mostly consumed in India, and therefore our exposure to a lot of events that are outside our territory and our control is much lesser. If I take that similar and bring that into the question that you specifically asked, there would still be movement. There would still be people who would be moving for job opportunities from, say, Pune to Bangalore. But because we are looking at a hybrid model where we are looking at imparting them the knowledge in their local language that they understand, but their usage is still going to be on an English language application, software, or machinery, the controls thereof, I think it would be easy for them to blend into a new working environment because their technical skills are correct.
Very nice. There are few more, but I think it is more of a kind of remark which Mr. Salunke has expressed it when he spoke about the safety part of that it should be in the local language itself. So Mr. Niranjan Pandit has expressed that the disaster management and other things should be in local language. There is a very big comment by Mr. Subhash Padke, which probably on ending this particular session we can all go to it, and it's a nice nice comment he has expressed. Ms. Jayashree Mani has said that we need to understand each other weaknesses and interviewing them. There could be, once we start talking in their local language, there could be some kind of transformation or translation may happen of technical terms into local language. So this kind of some feedbacks are on Facebook. So with that, I think it's 12:05 as well. So thank you very much. At the end, I would say that it was a very important topic raised by Tech Wisdom Forum, and all the panelists have given due justice. I'm so happy to understand that the industry representative and the very eminent personality from the education has agreed to one particular point, that the industry and academia should collaborate with each other, and the movement which is started at probably at local level should go to the national level. And whatever we are talking about becoming superpower, I know the IT industries have been phenomenally well, service industry has been extremely well, but I think manufacturing industry or their importance cannot be ruled out. And in order to drive this particular manufacturing industry to the next pedestal, I think the combination of the English as a business language and the native language in order to transmit the knowledge to the students in order to generate the employable youth. This kind of hybrid approach, this kind of combination approach is very much required. We have seen that we have been a lot influenced by English as a language, no doubt about it. And we have seen that, and many of you, both of you have mentioned, Mr. Salunke and Mr. Seth, that the European people, they still communicate in their local language, and only when they want to export the things, they want to send things outside their own country, probably they will take help of English. I think this kind of combination approach is required in India too. We should remove that phobia from our students' mind, as Mr. Salunke mentioned about it. Many of the rural students who are having phobiatic feeling about English as a language, so it should be removed, and probably that would enhance the overall the knowledge gaining, and probably that would help to create, along with Dr. Karmalkar, who is representing education, and I think that will generate the employable youth for our industry. So thank you very much, all panelists, for your presence out despite your busy schedule. I know Dr. Karmalkar, despite having Sunday, he is also going to attend one evening session at Marathi Social Media Sammelan, where I'll be meeting him today evening. So and thank you very much, Mr. Salunke and Mr. Seth. Out of your, I know you always have busy weeks, and still you could make it on Sunday. Thanks for your attendance, and I appreciate, again, I close this particular session by appreciating the initiative by Tech Wisdom, Mr. Deepak Devdar and Sai Wable. I think this is a small movement, this small webinar, whatever we have done today. Probably it will a very small step in making this particular movement at national level. It will not remain at local level. Probably we can hold this kind of session in different states as well. So with this, I end this particular session. And if Mr. Deepak Devdar, if you want to just conclude this particular session with a small remark. Yeah. Over to you, Mr. Devdar.
Okay, I mean, it was a really wonderful session, and everybody has contributed to the best. The people who are viewing it, the comments what we are receiving also are in that line. Everybody has liked it, and let's continue with this momentum what we have started, with the support of all of you and industry as well at large, because this is the momentum is going to support each other and to move ahead in a greater levels. So I really thanks to all of you including Mr. Mandlik, from his busy schedule, he has spared a lot of time to coordinate everything and make the session live and more interactive the way it should have been. So thanks to all, and let's end this session. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.